Have you ever asked yourself, why was I born? What would I do if money was no object? What would my heart project and my soul perfect if money grew on trees and flew in like a breeze, wind blowing across my face like a hurricane of grace? No time to lose, nothing to waste. No more yearning, earning, only the fire burning, heart singing, mind flowing, soul soaring, body balancing, all aligning, be becoming. Silence is deafening, stillness defining. No more whining, clear and shining, everlasting, self-realizing. Start your mining. A token of me is so divining. Bitcoin, the first bright lightning. Ether, the DeFi widening. Token of me is true enlightening. Where my thoughts goes, energy flows. How high can I go? Sky's the limit when I'm in it. The more I flow, the more I go. No credit, no debit, all in, no cap. When I rap, I was born worthy for the hero's journey. Put down the phone, get into the zone. Mine a token of my own. Currency of coherency, proof of resonance, it's my inheritance. What you got inside is worth more than all the money in the world. Funny money going broke, this ain't no joke. Fiat rotting in the yoke, break the bank, fill your love tank. You've got nothing to lose. Free will to choose, amuse your muse. Turn off the news and flip your views, and a token of you ensues, filled with your true values. Essence of your soul aligned with your whole. Token of me like honey from a bee, bespoken like money growing on a tree. The universe is stoked and staked when I'm wide awake. We all in the same gene pool, swimming in the same school. When the tide rises, all the boats float. It's time to vote with your new bank note, the kind of world you want to denote. And here's a hint, you are the mint. So what makes my heart sing and my eyes weep with a joyous spring? My body cohere with a passionate ring. No mind the gap, there is no chasm when my soul wraps in a cosmic orgasm. Oh God, I feel the tingles in my toes when it flows. Hair stand on end, struck by lightning, send goosebumps surging up my spine, like I was born just in time to mint a token of mine. I'm very excited. I've been waiting 5 years for this, and some of you have been with me from the very beginning. So much love to all of you. Many of you have already ordered a soul compass. You know, this is a divine journey, and it's not a race or a sprint. It's a marathon. So we're just not gonna fake it till we make it. We're here today because we truly have something to share with you that I think is going to be very, very inspiring. We are going to pick the new pilots, prioritized according to those who are here today. But just, I want you all to know that every single one of you can be a pilot. If you want it, you can have it. You will be it. It's really going to end up being up to you, not me, as to whether or not you become a pilot for the soul compass, right? I'm really wanting to inspire you all to figure out what makes your heart sing. And that's why we created the soul compass. Okay. Over 5 years ago, I received a calling about measuring humanity when you're in the sweet spot of life, when you're in a state of flow or in the zone, or just like your heart is overflowing and you're just blissed out, right? Like that's when musicians write the hit songs, and that's where athletes break records, and it's where all of us feel our genius
And we are of great value in this state. This is when your heart is really coherent and your soul is in resonance with what we're calling your true self. That is where happiness comes from, your fulfillment in life comes from, and it's really the holy grail of what we all want, is to self-actualize. And so I wanted to measure it. And I really wanted to figure out what's the universal formulas for everyone, not just those at the top of their game. So we started, and then Mohan joined me a couple years later. He's the genius behind this, who's actually been implementing much of this technology. You know, I think many of you know I worked at Apple in the early days, and I was inspired by Steve Jobs, and I really feel him still flowing through me. I feel that token of me is an extension of his philosophy to empower people to be their best. And Mohan is like Steve Wozniak, okay? So that's the best way to think of us. And so what Mohan figured out is he implemented many of the patents that I filed like 5 years ago on how do you measure and validate this peak human performance in the flow. Well, many of you have heard of HRV, heart rate variability. And that's just really rudimentary. And it's just a theory that says, if your heart rate is varying, you're more coherent, you're happier. And it's an interesting theory, because a lot of people would say, now, wait a minute, don't you want to just be like a clock, like be like really predictable? And the truth is, no, you don't. You actually want to vary. And what we discovered in looking at the variation in the heartbeats is we're looking at it like it's a song. And if your heart is playing a song and you're not making it beat, it's like coming from somewhere. The variation is really a reflection of your harmonics. Like if you're listening to like a really high harmonic song and music and all the instruments are in harmony, they have different frequencies, but they're all in harmony. So we're looking for your harmony. And we're looking at it through your heart, your breathing, even your nervous system, your parasympathetic nervous system, your sympathetic nervous system. Like, are you in fight or flight, or are you in rest and digest? We can actually measure your energy spectrum. We also can measure, but many of the current devices don't yet have this, is the galvanic skin response. Now, what is that? This is an indication of goosebumps. And what are goosebumps? Well, what Mohan and I have been studying is it's when your resistivity, as measured even on your skin, goes down, like plummets. And your conductivity, also measurable on your skin, skyrockets. And it's a dramatic shift, almost like an avalanche. And therefore a high frequency surge of source energy, which we can't measure directly, is flowing through you. But we're measuring it as if you threw a stone in the pond, and it's the ripple effect. It's the reflection through your body that we're measuring indirectly. So if you got high heart coherence, you're getting goosebumps, your energy spectrum is loud and clear, like that's very indicative of you're in the direction of flow, if not there already. Your metrics are elevated. And what Mohan is now looking at, which again is not what anyone else in the world is doing, is he's starting to look at what we're calling the energy of your pulse wave. Your heart, yes, we're looking at, peak to peak and the standard deviation and even the root mean square deviation from peak to peak. These are all the things that current science is doing. But we're going to look at the actual pulse wave of your heartbeat. And that's new. And with many of the wearables out there are measuring skin conductive resistivity. This is just almost like an extra ingredient that we might be measuring just to validate what else we're seeing. And then with like Apple goggles or, Google goggles or any glasses, this is coming, guys. Pupil dilation is a strong indication of flow. I mean, the eye is the window into the soul. And by simply even measuring an iris scan, you can tell a tremendous amount about the wellness or not wellness of a person. And what we're always going to focus on is your wellness. All sorts of other products out there are going to focus more on your not so wellness. And we're just not going to do that. And then finally, here at the bottom, this is what's future for us, like next year. I'm going to a conference in a few weeks from now, and some really world-renowned biophysicists are coming, including many you've heard of, like Roger Penrose. He's a famous quantum physicist. They're coming, and I'm going to basically meet up with the best biophysicists in the world to measure the biophotons of your energy, of what your cells are emitting. Like, you cannot fake this. Do you ever notice when someone's flowing, they actually are glowing? Like, there's light that your cells are emitting all the time. And we're getting real close to being able to measure the frequency, the coherency, and the resonance of the light of you. So this is really, really powerful and very disruptive. There's a lot of people out there that might not like this, and that's okay. We're really more about who is ready for this, because this is coming. Wearables is now a $1 trillion market, and there's no stopping it. We're just giving you the tools to empower yourself so that it gets used to your benefit instead of you being used for somebody else's benefit. So this is what we're creating. We have these 4 ingredients here: allowance, balance, coherence, and flow. And I'm going to show you next what our actual application looks like. And you can read about all of these in detail in our biometric black paper. This is where we explain in layman's terms what is behind these measurements. And they aren't fixed. We're constantly improving them as to what they are and how do we improve our metrics. In the black paper, it looks like this. You can find it on our website. All right, so here's our soul compass. And we recently trademarked this term. We're going to help you calibrate to your best self. For those of you who become new pilots, we're going to dive deep into all of these. Now, let me zoom in and show you. This is a moment of flow, this moment right here. This is on July 1st, the beginning of this month. I had an incredibly inspiring call with these biophysicists, and that's when we realized we're going to be able to measure the biophotons of your cells. And I just went into a flow state, right? This is where all my elements are peaking. They're not necessarily at 100%, and that's okay. But this is very informative. It's like, okay, this is telling me that I'm onto something and it's going to happen. And so keep going. Now, this also happened just the other day, a few days ago. Some of you may have heard. I was trying to think of how to get involved with Dr. Joe Dispenza, because he is measuring scientifically, even blood chemistry and brain waves. They have thousands of people at these week-long workshops, and they're measuring your improvement, really measuring, being invasive. We're not going to be invasive. They're showing that any illness, they got people with everything you can think of coming in. Just about anyone who really wants to can improve. And they are proving this. So the other day I thought, I want to go to his events. So I signed up for his live session on Thursday this week. I just thought, I got nothing to lose. I just want to hear him live. And at the end, they said, does anyone have any questions? And I raised my hand and they called on me. I was blown away. Like, that was a flow state. And then this is my soul compass capturing that moment of ding, 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 I'm onto something. And he asked me live, what is this soul compass and how are you measuring it? So we're going to get there one way or another. We're going to his events, either directly or indirectly in the audience. They want this. This is now a tool that can help everyone, measure their well-being and their improvement in real time. So I just want to show you also what Garmin showed at that exact same time. This is Garmin. Okay, we have two apps. I'm using the Garmin watch and the Garmin app and also our Soul Compass app. And I'm comparing. And so Garmin says blue is when I'm resting, orange is when it's stressful, gray is like these little gray spots. That's when I'm being active. And then unmeasurable. Look at that. I don't know what you're doing. And so we're not going to guess. Well, I find that rather fascinating. And I've seen it many, many times. When I'm flowing, Garmin says, look, I don't know. We now call these flow gaps. And it's interesting, you see, because Garmin's focused on stress. They're not focused on my well-being. So I just wanted to share with you why it's so important. What we're doing is focusing on the upside and not when you're not well or when you're stressed or how many steps. All right, so here is Chris Coyne. He sent this in and he showed us like, wow, you got 100% allowance, 100% balance, like very high coherence. Like that's definitely a flow state, right? That is so cool, Chris. This is the moment we realized we've figured it out. Chris sent me this in on May 10th. Look at this screen, guys. 100% allowance, 100% coherence, 100% flow, 100% balance. Flat line. I did not know. Mohan and I were like, we didn't know this was possible because we've never seen it with ourselves. And then Chris just throws this at us. What are you doing? How are you doing this? And then he showed us that he can hold this for not just a minute or two, but for hours during deep meditation. And I went, oh my God, okay, this is incredible. I got really, really excited and I submitted a video to Abraham Hicks 10 days later on May 20th.
Let's see another video.
Hi, Abraham. I have a super important question for Infinite Intelligence. We've been working on a soul compass to measure alignment, allowance, balance, coherency. We're basically looking for the sweet spot of being in the flow or tapped in, turned on in the zone. And what we've discovered is it's almost like the energy is coming for free when you reach that zone. Like you're in a deep meditation without effort, without exhaustion, without it taxing the person. It's like, wow, is this true? Is this what's happening? Is that when we're tapped into source energy in a super coherent flow state that it's like it's just flowing for free, like free energy? Thank you very much for any insights. We really appreciate it. Much love.
Absolutely. It's the fountain of youth. It's the source of well-being. It's infinite abundance. In other words, when you hang around, as you described, and as we just described before you're in a state of constant renewal and replenishment. Yes, indeed.
This was really big, our discovery. And I am so grateful to Chris for being a part of this journey and helping us figure this out. I mean, look, guys, we actually changed some of our formulas because of this. And if you read the literature on flow right now, if you read like what Stephen Kotler is saying, who's studying extreme athletes, they wouldn't even necessarily agree with what we've discovered because they still think it's about pushing through your limits and pain to get gain and trying really hard and forcing yourself. And then there's other literature that's like a book even called Flow that I just do not resonate with at all. And it's more about your head, and being very, very, thoughtful. And what Chris and some of our pilot testers and investors have helped us to figure out is to reach this incredible breakthrough. And it was only when we got this that I was willing to share this with all of you. And
Susan,
yeah, go ahead, Chris.
I'm flattered that you pointed to my particular case, but for the group, I just wanted to share, not only are those max scores attainable for long periods of time in deep meditation, but I can achieve it, and I don't know how, but I can achieve it when I'm having a martini, when I'm smoking cannabis, when I'm working on a major marketing project, when I'm in the gym, when I'm drinking coffee in Starbucks. It's possible to achieve peak flow anytime, so long as your children relaxed.
Exactly.
It's
exactly.
cool. The other thing is, I got this in March, and I've been tracking, the statistics on fitness age. I actually dropped 3 years in fitness age since March. I mean, it's really quite remarkable.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Chris is definitely our poster child. And, but what's really important to know is that, like, I'm not being compared to Chris, and nor would any of you, right? Everyone is, you have your own baseline, and it's your improvement with yourself that is the measuring stick. So what Chris has been able to also show us is that he can now engage in life and have an overflow and have these higher metrics in his life experience. And that's really the next step, right, for everybody. So thank you, Chris. Thank you so much. All right. Yeah, Chris, why don't you, someone else ask a good question. What I would like you to describe, what do you feel when you're in that state?
Well, I'm blessed in that I received the Garmin and the Token of Me app just as my awakening experience was accelerating. And I've been on this journey for 20 years, and it's been iterative. But suddenly I went into this accelerative stage, and the compass came at the perfect time for me to track it and help me to kind of focus on how I should feel in order to move the metrics. But at this point, there's it's like an electricity buzzing continuously. Now it's deeper, more penetrative. We're in that state, deep meditation, but it's now continuous. The cool thing about this is, once you start achieving these levels and feeling them, you want to stay at that. It actually it'll affect every activity, every type of movement of your day. It spills over. So you can achieve the maximal scores, not just in deep meditation, but you can achieve it at any time, so long as you're relaxed. And I've also noticed that the flow averages have risen over time. This is just an empirical observation. And so gradually over time, it spills over. It makes life smoother and smoother and smoother. Everything is more relaxed and engaging.
What is flow? Different people have different theories. And you just heard Chris talk about what it feels like when he's in a flow state. And you heard us ask Abraham Hicks, what is flow? And this is what Abraham said. It is anti-aging. It is the fountain of youth. And it's the replenishment mode. You are in a renewal state. And as Abraham says, it's infinite abundance. Everything from self-healing to having great ideas, insights, feeling love, feeling your worthiness, feeling peace, trust, everything we all want. It's alignment with your physical real self, with your divine true self, your ideal self. You flip the switch, and instead of being the source, you're just allowing it to flow through you. You're not trying to prove yourself anymore. If you're an athlete, you've done something so many times and you love it that it's just done through you. And so it's like this free energy is coming from source. And it's not just free, it's abundant and it's coherent. So the quality of it is high, right? It's not just an energy like a buzz, it's a goosebumps. And if you watch people in a flow state, they look effortless, right? I mean, Roger Federer is my favorite, and he looks like he's dancing when he's playing tennis and winning. It's like he's on autopilot. Same with musicians on stage. They are not draining, they're replenishing, really tapped in, and we can all feel that. There's a real energy around it that does uplift others because it raises the quality of the energy around them. And if you're willing and allowing, you can rise with them. So when the tide rises, all the boats float. It is a state of grace. And it does resonate with unconditional love, pure love. And when you're there, and many of you have been there, it feels so peaceful. So you're just accepting, like you're not trying to fix anything. There's nothing broken. And you really trust yourself. You trust yourself, and you realize you were born worthy, and your perceptions change. You're now receiving intuition, insights, ideas. You have a perception that is now win-win, and you're more inclined to receive solutions. So I'm going to talk now just for a minute about what hinders that. Okay, I'm just going to go through this quickly because I don't want to calibrate you guys, but I'm just going to point these out because these are very, very common hindrances that we may or may not be aware of. The most common is trying too hard, trying to make it happen, trying to force it. That's resistance. Getting too specific and saying, well, by this date, I'm going to have this much. That's just going to cause you to compare and create resistance and notice it's not there yet. By saying affirmations that you don't even really believe, that's actually lying to yourself. And your soul compass is going to let you know that you're lying to yourself. If you're trying to push through your limits, many will tell you, you got to have pain in order to have gain. We don't believe that. Faking it until you make it, very common. Taking action before you have the inspiration and the energy lined up, or doing it because you think you should do it. These are all counterproductive. Arguing for your limitations, or simply trying to be right. Defending or even explaining yourself. Focusing on what other people think, or trying to get validation from them. Very common hindrance. Simply telling a story that doesn't feel good. There's no value in that. It pulls you and anyone listening down. So let's get on to how do you flow? Okay, let's go to the flip side. As Chris said, and what we've noticed more than anything is chilling. Chilling more, relaxing, and actually surrendering, letting go, and accepting whatever it is, not trying to change it. How many times have you actually finally gave up something and then boom, it shows up? Very, very common. Play more. Just play more. Play with your cats, your dogs, your kids. Play in nature. Listen to some uplifting music that gives you goosebumps or where you can dance to. Or play your favorite sport or some creative activity that you just kind of lose yourself in and lose track of time, and you're not doing it to get paid. You're just doing it because you love it. And when it's hard, try accepting whatever has happened. And then it may be difficult at first, but this has been my biggest teacher, is looking for the blessings in disguise. Ask yourself, what's the value? What's the benefit of this experience? And you might not receive the answer right away, but you will later, maybe after meditation. If you can, focus on anything that you feel appreciation for, or peaceful, or a time when you felt really peaceful or happy for no reason. Felt love, just accepting what is, just feel for that. And if you can't, then just try meditating, because as Abraham Hicks says, and even Joe Dispenza and all the great teachers out there who have millions of followers and have cracked this code, if you can meditate with no thought, it will raise your vibration more than anything. And as Chris pointed out, it will spill over into your active, wakeful life. So anything that makes your heart sing, and you can feel it. You can actually feel when your heart is filling up and starting to overflow. It's a tangible feeling. And then tell stories that feel good. That's it. That means no complaining. You're just feeling good. And you retell stories differently, even if they're bad. Try telling the blessing in disguise version of it. And if you can't, don't tell it. It's okay. Someone raised their hand. Jojo.
Hello there. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I have a question around flow, and maybe you're going to go into more detail of the software in a bit, but the traditional flow state definition, right, from my experience, is something around having a deep focus, a connection to something greater, being out of time, right, like losing track of time. And I'm curious, after Chris spoke, right, how this, how the equipment, right, is able to measure maybe a blissful or ecstatic experience, right? One that when I really physically and emotionally feel connected, or that buzz.
We can measure when you're in a blissed out state. It's pretty clear. That's what I've noticed. It's what Chris has noticed, and some of our pilots. And with those things I talked about in the beginning of the call, we start measuring your light emitted and your pulse wave. It's going to be pretty loud and clear when your heart is overflowing, when you're in a blissed out state. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah,
and you
cool.
Can read about the biometrics, right? Go into it yourself. And if you choose to be a pilot, you'll have many more opportunities with us to dive deep and actually help us improve those formulas with your feedback.
I'd be happy to help. I'll check it out.
We do have some limitations. It is remarkable what we have working, but the biggest limitation is this. If you have a Garmin watch, it does measure continuously in the background all day long, even while you're sleeping. But it does not synchronize in real time. All of our users are experiencing at least a few minutes delay, in some cases, hours. Now, this is just a challenge we have, and we don't really have a way through it because Garmin is trying to protect the battery life. And you can manually force a synchronization and get the data out of the watch to your phone and into our app. And so there are some workarounds. It's just, I just got to be honest with you, it's a little frustrating. So if this is a problem for you, we would recommend that you wait and until we have a solution for this. We just now got the Apple Watch working, and the only reason why it's only recent is it would not let us do continuous streaming of data. It just would not let us. It blocks it because it doesn't want us to drain the battery. So what Mohan figured out is he's wrote the app to work on the watch itself. And you can set it for a very specific time-based session. You can, for instance, if we went to a Joe Dispenza event, we would say, okay, I'm going to go into a meditation right now for 20 minutes or an hour and go, right? And it can do well. It can measure everything in that session. But it's just a few minutes to a few hours at most. It's not running in the background all the time. Longer sessions will drain the battery. And then finally, this is very important, the feedback is displayed only on the Apple Watch itself. It's not yet on the mobile phone Soul Compass app. These are our main limitations. No minting of any token rewards at this time. We had this working, but we purposely have removed all tokens, NFTs, nothing. We just don't want people to join who are looking for rewards right now. The reward is very intrinsic. It's too new. We want to focus on people who really want to improve themselves just for the sake of that, not to get rewarded. They will be chosen one by one for our future applications and use cases. And then, yeah, the soul compass might cause an elevated state of joy. But you also need to understand it's not going to create that joy for you. So we don't believe the goal is to flow all the time. It's just not humanly possible. Now, Chris has shown us you can do it for a few hours at a time. That's in deep meditation. So we want to encourage you to now come out of meditation and have it spill over and engage in life and see how you can carry that on through your life. It might frustrate you. You might be really unhappy with the results and feel some discomfort. And I really wanted to talk about this for a minute because the soul compass is going to tell the truth. It's just going to give you back what it's reading. I'm sharing this screen because this is one of our early pilot testers. This was his experience. We're very interested in people who really know themselves very, very well and are wanting the truth and helping us to reflect that truth back. So this is what's coming very soon. We actually have already developed it for the iPhone, not yet for the Android. And this is going to be very valuable to you to look at your trending and comparisons with past hours, past days, past weeks, months. And eventually this will be used for minting tokens based on your consistency and your improvements, and will be available soon on both Android and iPhone. The next thing that we would be working on is something we're calling the hologram. You see, we're trying to get a feedback mechanism that's less analytical and less about graphs and less about high and low and more qualitative, more holistic. And so we hired a UI designer to help us come up with something like this. And here's just a short video so you could scroll around and kind of at a glance see how you're doing holistically. Again, these are just trying to get you out of your head and more into your heart and not judge yourself so much, let alone each other. All right, now this is exciting. I am now going to share with you the use cases that we're working on. You've all heard of proof of stake or proof of work on the blockchain. That's how a lot of tokens are minted. Well, we actually trademarked the term proof of resonance and proof of coherency. So based on your improvement, let's say you're an athlete in peak performance or a creative and you're in the zone, or you're a meditator in the flow, anyone trending in self-empowerment, joy, self-renewal, and we can measure that and validate it and achieve what we're calling proof of resonance, boom, a token is minted. I call this token-gated curated tickets that are unlocked for those who resonate the most with an event. Like, let's say Taylor Swift or Pink and other artists are on tour right now. What if they had a promo video? And if you want tickets and you want to be the first and you want the front row, well, instead of just paying more or wasting your time and all trying to buy tickets at 12 o'clock on Friday or do a lottery, why not have a soul compass and a promo video? And as you're watching that video, if it makes your heart sing and goosebumps and rise all your metrics, well, boom, the ticket's unlocked. That's gamifying a win-win scenario for an artist, musician, and their fans to prioritize tickets to those who are in resonance with you, with your content. We trademarked another term called mine yourself. And we're going to use this in different flow to earn games. There's all sorts of games. Gaming is huge. It's exploding. In most games, you're glued to a computer or your phone. Well, we're going to up-level all games by offering them a chance to get to the next level in that game by you being the measuring stick. You are the player and you are the joystick with your soul compass. So you got to go out in life, and that is the game. Here's one I'm super excited about, guys. This is called health insurance. The emphasis on insurance instead of insurance. All of you probably have health insurance. Many countries require it by law. Well, all that's doing is insuring your sickness, and it will pay out when you get sick. Well, we're going to turn that on its head. We're going to insure your health by paying when you get well. This is profound, the impact of this one application. And I'm already in talks with one of the largest healthcare providers in the world. And they said, as soon as we have 25,000 users, they're going to launch this. Because as Joe Dispenza has shown, and Abraham Hicks, we can measure improvement. And in the case of Joe Dispenza, he is proving that your body has the pharmacy already, and it will create it automatically in a flow state. Through meditation, you can heal yourself. He has millions of followers who are proving this. And we are going to provide this soul compass to his followers and Abraham Hicks followers. And we are literally going to pay people when they get well. That is a major disruptive game changer to the sickness and unwellness world that people are focused on. We know that people can heal through their connection with their true self. Your divine self is naturally well. We're looking for people who can lead us in that application. FlowTube. FlowTube is like YouTube, where we're going to pay viewers and the content providers who measurably uplift their audience. We recently have joined our team Adam Hertz, who was the former director of engineering for YouTube. He's a former colleague of mine, and he's super excited, and he's going to help us build this. Not with YouTube, because they're just too big and set in their ways. We're just going to create it from scratch. And so think about what this means, guys. This is going to disrupt all of social media. Right now, social media, it's about getting likes from other people. In FlowTube, there is no like button. You have to wear a soul compass. And when you are improved, when you are uplifted, when your metrics rise, you get paid as a viewer. And so does the content provider for providing that valuable content. This is going to make all sorts of social media just go by the wayside, because most of what's out there today is manipulated and it's based on win-lose. And we are all about win-win. Here's a very specific application for FlowTube. We're going to gamify emotional and mental well-being with your improvement using, and this is straight from Abraham Hicks, the emotional guidance scale. We are going to be able to pinpoint where you are emotionally and gamify and reward you for simply feeling better, for figuring out how to feel better. And we will be providing content that will help you do it one step of the way. Most of the world spends their time on this downward spiral, just going up and down, never quite reaching this tipping point of boredom. Once you tip over into boredom and get into contentment, it's a lot easier to climb this upward spiral. And what a lot of people try to do is go from feeling really low to feeling really good too fast. And so we're going to actually help you feel how you like accept where you are. And believe it or not, like if you're feeling depressed, a feeling of jealousy and rage and even revenge is an improvement. And it's safer to provide content to help you experience those emotions than it is to go out in the world and do it. And then help you measurably move up. And so if this was part of FlowTube, if you start to go down the content, it changes automatically. It's like, nope, you're going down. You know, we can only help you improve. And people will come to this just to feel better and be rewarded for their improvement. and get some reactions. You like the sound of some of these apps, guys? All right, sweet. All right. If anyone's got any burning questions, raise your hand, or again, use the chat session to post questions or even reactions. Okay, Brett, go ahead.
I don't have a question. I just want to share my heartfelt thanks and enthusiasm. I mean, I know we all know, but to say this is disruptive is might be the most biggest understatement of the universe. And the flow tube and the insurance excites me the most. I mean, I love the gamification. I love all the value and all the rewards, but the biggest reward is the collective wellness. I mean, that will produce whatever you want to call it, entrepreneurs, whatever innovation that is. So I'm just super excited. It's just great. Thank you.
Thank you, Brett. Brett's been with us for a long time too. Yeah, guys, listen, this is incredibly disruptive what we're doing. I was on a show, you guys probably saw it on Unicorn Hunters, right? Huge show in LA last year. They offered 30 million for 5% of the company. We had a $500 million valuation. I could have taken that money and ran. But you know what? We didn't take it. We gave it back because the producer of the show really didn't resonate with this. And he doesn't want to be measured. And this is a bullshit detector. So, you know, a lot of people feel threatened or even, you know, potentially jealous about it. And I've got to ignore that and just keep going forward. Amkar, go ahead. You're a new one. Please tell us what your thoughts are.
Hey, Susan. First of all, it's an incredible presentation. I was so psyched by seeing the use cases, primarily token-gated, curated tickets, health insurance. It's just such a new perspective to look at the world we live in. I have a burning question, and this was something that came up for me as I was going through the black paper. And it's around brain waves and mental activity. I've noticed that that's something that you haven't actively chosen to incorporate. And I'm curious, is it just too noisy? I do resonate with the dropping from head to heart to really feel into flow states, but I'm just curious about your thoughts.
And I'm glad you asked because we purposefully are not going to measure brainwaves. Now, a lot of people out there are, like Joe Dispenza, he's still looking at, you know, EEG scans. We're not going to. And there's a couple of reasons why. I mean, it's true. We could easily just measure the gamma waves and go, oh yeah, look, you must be flowing. But most people don't want their brains measured, for starters. Number two, we want to get you out of your head anyway. A flow state is like a non-thinking state. It's like autopilot. You are at such a high elevated state. It's beyond your thinking. And that's why meditation can get you in a flow state faster than anything, is by not thinking and not using your brain. Often the brain evokes your ego. And, you know, as I said, I've been talking about this for so many years now. And whenever someone gets a little too heady about it, I can never convince them of this. All that happens is I lose it too. So I stop the conversation as soon as we get into our head too much. And, you know, people like Joe Dispenza are very much about the brain still, right? They're talking, but he's a scientist. And so many of us are wired to believe that, like, it's our brain that's doing it all. Well, you know what? We just don't believe that. We think it's your heart and your soul. When you are in a state of love, you're following your heart and you're not second guessing and you're not thinking about what others are thinking. You are just so valuable and so uplifting and so inspired that we want to help people cultivate that. It doesn't matter what you even think. It doesn't matter what you say. It's what you radiate. And that is what we're looking for, is the truth. And we don't even care what someone says. We're tuning into the essence more than anything. So I hope that answers the question, why we're not going to measure brain. Kind of what we're working on. Those use cases I described, guys, like they don't exist yet, but with some of them, we're within a year, guys. We're within a year, and we're not going to just take money from any investor to make them happen faster. We're just not going to. We're going to take our sweet divine time. There is no rush, right? There's no happy ending to an unhappy journey. We're gonna, have as good of a time as possible, and we're not gonna push it. The universe and humanity needs a little catching up to do anyway. You guys just could be at the front of this rocket ship, and I hope you will, because we couldn't do it without you. All right. Now let's go back. What is next? Where is this going? This is going to take probably a few years. I call it the metaverse instead of the metaverse. This is our vision, okay? I'm just going to describe it. Instead of the metaverse, which is very techy and heady, we call it the metaverse. And we're working on a future screen on the Soul Compass where when you are minting tokens and NFTs, each NFT is an intelligent pixel that gets mapped to your metaverse. And it starts with a seed that becomes your home tree. So visualize the movie Avatar, and your desire is to mint these soul tokens with your life improvement, with your flow, with your love, with your joy, with your trending. These tokens get minted and they become an NFT, like a pixel in your metaverse. And you're going to grow this home tree. And as you grow this tree, it will create leaves and flowers and fruit even. And if you want to share yourself with others, you can do so. And they will become a branch off your home tree. And then you can kind of zoom out and see the whole forest of everybody else and see the whole planet of literally the heartbeat of humanity. Where is the love? Where is the flow happening right now? And so we will see spots that, like where a concert's happening or where an event is happening, and you can join virtually. And if it makes your heart sing, you'll be minting more and more tokens and NFTs in your metaverse. And if you are an investor, you'll have things in your metaverse like a beehive with bees in it, like pouring out dripping honey. And if you have stock options, you'll have a bunch of eggs that haven't hatched yet. So your metaverse will be an abundant vision of your portfolio of your life, as opposed to a bank statement. And so these soul tokens that you're minting, you're not going to sell these, but the mother tree will pay you dividends for your creation. That's what mother trees do. They share their love and resources with the forest, not by feeling sorry for you, but by knowing that when each tree rises to its potential, we all win. And so here's a short little video we had created of what will come. And this is going to take a few years, guys, but I just want to know this is like what's in our vortex. Your metaverse is a rich representation of your true value and the abundance of who you really are. As you flow your best, your stock steadily grows in value and pays dividends from a slice of the pie. So I literally patented this idea 5 years ago as a game to inspire humans to be more natural, to be more authentic with your true self. And I'm using nature as the role model because that nature's always in flow. And if we could just be more tree-like, we would be happier and self-actualize more often and get in the sweet spot of life. And so, we've created something that like doesn't exist. There's no other company on the planet that's doing what we're doing. And now let me show you what Mohan and I have done. And this is from the very beginning of the company. We created a mother tree trust. And all of the IP, all of the intellectual property, all of mine, Mohan's, anyone who's ever created any IP, it's not in our for-profit, it's in the trust. And the trust holds our intentions. And it's real trust because the beneficiaries of the trust are you, our players, our customers. The people who are improving themselves the most will inherit the company. And you will be paid dividends along the way and receive stock options. And when our investors want to sell, they can sell anytime they want, just not to anybody. They have to sell their shares to the trust, the Mother Tree Trust. And the trust, the Mother Tree, will turn out around and she can see who's doing really well, who's improving. And those will be the people who will be offered these shares. And these are the ones who will value them the most, pay the most, appreciate them the most, and improve the value of them the most. So we have this win-win gamification of the company itself to ensure that it can never sell its soul, no matter what. It doesn't matter what I think, the board thinks, or even the investors. Those who flow the most will end up in the long run. This is a decentralized mechanism to distribute the value and the ownership of the company itself. And it comes time to vote, even your flow is what determines the weight of your vote. Because when you're in a flow state and a state of love, you have this win-win perception. And you're not coming from a lackful state. You're all in. And that's why I did it. I'm all in because I trust that more will come. And this is actually the best way to make this unstoppable. This is how Facebook and anybody else, they would have to bet the farm if they wanted to compete with us. We've gamified the company and the ownership of it to ensure that the value is shared with our players, with our customers. And therefore, it becomes really powerful and unstoppable. We can't sell out. Even our vesting schedules, the way we're planning with anyone involved, like it depends on your performance. We pay for results. We don't guess. We don't even our agreements, like our contractual agreements with each other. Do you know that when we hire people, there's no commitment? If you change your mind, you have a change of heart, you leave. Right? We don't want handcuffs. Everyone's free. And when you're of value and you are creating value, well, we're going to make sure to keep appreciating you so we don't lose you, right? So this is just part of our DNA, and I hope many of you understood that. If not, send us some questions on the chat or raise your hand if you want to understand this more. Mohan is working on a ring. Okay, we found a ring because maybe you've heard of Aura Ring. There's even something called Happy Ring coming out. It could be available for $50. Now, the Garmin today is about $300. By this time next year, guys, these things are going to be given away, or at most be $50 a pop. And there'll be a monthly subscription, and this thing is just going to take off. And I think it's less than a year from now. This is what's coming. And, you know, if you bought an Aura Ring, that's also about $300, and it's not measuring what we're measuring. So one last thing I'm super, super excited about. Yeah, Mohan and I last week had a very strong simultaneous pull to do something. And then we finally talked about it a few days ago, and lo and behold, he's already, running ahead with it. So Mohan, go ahead and share your screen. Please show us what you created, like what's coming.
Yeah, sure. So like, Susan was saying, like, we had a bunch of videos and there is a lot of content, huge tons of content. And it's almost like if you want to know something about it, you have to go to the video and search for it and see if you get it or not. You can search related to the topic, you get some videos, but still you gotta go through the full video to really like get what you simply wanted. You might have wondered about a simple question. So what we have did is by taking in all the knowledge from thousands of videos, almost 3,000 plus videos, we trained an AI model to respond to specific questions that you can ask and receive answers that are based on the content from the videos. So this is the first version. And the second version we are planning to, what we're planning to do is also pull in the video which has the right content and start playing it from the exact right time that where we think the answer is for the question. So yeah, this is a little sneak peek of it. I can ask what is the best way to simply asking.
I love it. Sweet. Thank you so much, Mohan. I mean, he just did that in a matter of days. Like, he's a genius.
Yeah, yeah, I had this idea last week, and then we had a call like this Thursday, and Susan was also telling about this video, and then okay, I was asking, when did you got this idea? And she said it was last week. So I thought, okay, it's something that maybe we can pursue and explore, because a lot of people who follow these content would absolutely resonate with what we have created. And we thought this can be an absolute way to promote or attract the audience from Abraham to get attention into what we are doing, and hopefully get some more users signed up for our app.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, Abraham Hicks, Joe Dispenza, these are some of the leading targets. We're going to go to their events. We're going to advertise online, on YouTube and elsewhere where they are offering their content. And we just got this great idea that we could just post this app, and it's a great funnel, and introduce people to the Soul Compass, and at no charge, no advertising expense, we could be finding the next best pilot testers. And then it's just going to go, guys. It's just going to take off, and we're going to use the revenue to build out some of those use cases. Like I told you, we're not waiting for the investors. A lot of investors kind of want to see it done first, and like, well, we're going to bootstrap it. And that way we can retain more heart and soul and over the value of it. So what we're going to do with Ask Abraham, Mohan already started an OpenAI project, and we're going to catalog. He's already done 3,000. Users can ask a question, receive the answer. We'll end up using this as the start of FlowTube as well. Any questions? Susie Porter, yay, I met you in Los Angeles 3-ish years ago.
Yeah, I can't. My friend Robin Andrews has been talking about you for like 8 months. So excited about you. And I finally was like, I know her. I met her. Oh my God. I'm so proud of you. Not that I had anything to do with your success, but I'm so proud of you. And I remember I didn't really understand what you were talking about, but I remember you talking about your tennis player and the passion, and you were so crystal clear and powerful and amazing. And so I'm just really thrilled. The synchronicity of Robin bringing you back into my life. So yay, you. And I love your cats and your RV. You are living my dream life, Susan.
Thank you.
This is so incredible, but I'm wondering about the larger context for the users, for those people who are struggling with maybe depression or whatever.
While this is a tool for someone as low as depression, they could still, if they really wanted to, improve. And we're going to be able to measure that and give them the feedback. Joe Dispenza has shown with thousands and thousands of participants that there are those who are simply more ready. The more advanced meditators, for instance, improve better and faster. And that's why in our pilot application, one of the questions is, would you rather save the world or just actualize your true best self? Because if you're still trying to save each other and the world, and you're really not in your power, and it's actually a disservice because it's a lie. It's you trying to tell somebody else that they don't have their own connection and that you could be it. And that's a disservice. So we're about real empowerment, all right? Path of least resistance. That's our game plan. All right, Peter Metzinger, I'd like to call on you. Go for it.
Yeah, thank you, Susan. I have to disagree a little bit, okay? Because I'm not a healer. I've been doing campaigning since 42 years. I'm a campaigner. So my mission is to change the world and to save the world in a way. If you want to get somebody do something, change his behavior, you have to change his understanding, his mindset, and you have to create incentives. And these incentives make that person want what you want the person to do. So it's not completely impossible, but I agree totally. We need to focus. We can't save the whole world. And it makes absolutely sense to focus on those things that are most easy to achieve and that have the highest leverage. And that's the path you're going. So I agree with you, but at the same time, I disagree a little bit. Okay.
And I am happy to disagree, happy and accept your perspective, honor it. And, you know, each person is on their own journey. And I'm not here to like talk you out of it. Just going to share what we've learned is that
if everyone would first focus on their own well-being, their own alignment, and raise their vibration and fill their heart until it overflows. And then it's unconditional love, and it's inspired, and it's freeing, and it's a gift. It gets messy when we try to save the world or save other people who didn't ask for it, and we're coming from a place of lack or not feeling secure or worthy, or maybe we're trying to overcome and compensate for some guilt we might have, whatever the reason might be. If it's coming from a place other than pure love, heart overflowing, it often isn't received very well. And the recipients can actually feel resentful of that so-called assistance that was not even asked for. And so we're advocating that each person focus first on your own inner well-being, your own resonance with your true self, and then you will have the inspiration on how to be of greater value to the world.
What do you think? Are you ready? Let's get the show on the road. I mean, that's why I'm living in the mothership, traveling in a motorhome called the mothership. I got trees outside my window. I'm always looking for a way to connect. We're going road tripping. We're going to these events. We're going to tailgate Esther Hicks, Joe Dispenza, and we're going to invite people out into the mothership to check it out. Much love. Okay, ending now.